Hi there, caregivers. We've all heard people use the expression one day at a time when we're dealing with something that's a little challenging and difficult. And that's kind of another way of saying a version of what our counselor taught us and taught me uh, to say to myself and to do as we were on our caregiver journey. My husband John had Lewy body dementia, and it's another way of saying kind of stay in the moment, practice mindfulness. But with dementia care, I think you're taking that to the next level. It's very, very challenging to do this, and it's a day in and day out thing. So I'm chosen to call this video 1 minute at a time. Um, our counselor did remind me over and over again throughout the entire journey that I needed to practice this mindfulness. I needed to stay in the moment. I needed to, with whatever was happening, not go in my head to a place of, oh, this feels like a loss. This is so different from what was in the past. I wish I still had what was in the past. Or to project myself into the future and say, well, what does this mean? Oh my goodness. If this is happening now, what's going to be happening later? Not to do either the past or the future travel, but to stay right in the moment. And that's called mindfulness. And I learned to do this more and more as we went through the journey. And I want to talk to you for a minute about what that means. What does that look like? Give you a little, flesh it out a little bit, give you a little more detail. And so, what I learned to do was to focus on what is happening. What is happening right now? Not go to those other two places in my head, but to kind of just really drill in, target in on what's going on right now. Becoming very perceptive, becoming, giving myself a different kind of focus on evaluating what was going on. And if John was saying something that was inappropriate or doing something, trying to watch that very carefully and pick up on what's the emotion that's triggering this, what's underneath what he's saying or underneath what he's doing, and respond to that emotion. Sometimes almost ignoring the words, especially if they're hurtful, just kind of letting them roll off your back, um, and then focusing in on where's he coming from? Is that a place of fear? Is that a place of worry? Is that a place of physical pain or some kind of emotional pain? And respond to that emotion that was behind his words or behind his actions. And then making myself really, really focus on staying calm. And one of those reasons is that stress is one of the very clear enemies. You have two major enemies in this disease. There are a number of them, but there are two major ones. One is the disease itself, which is going to be throwing things at you that you're going to have to manage and deal with on a daily basis. But the other big enemy is stress. And so staying calm, remembering, okay, that's my enemy. So let me try to deal with the stress and manage that stress. And that's going to help John and me. It's going to help your loved one and you if you can do that. And one way I would do that is very, very simple. I would use breathing. So if I could escape the room, I would escape the room and take some deep breaths. If I have to stay in the room, I would still make myself kind of pause rather than reacting right away, rather than speaking right away. Pause and do some, okay, let me just take some deep breaths in. When you are doing this, you are sending signals, chemical signals to your body, to your brain, that are going to activate things within your body that will counteract that stress that's coming on you. Whatever emotion it is that you are feeling at the time. And so it's very practical to do that. That's not just pie in the sky, namby-pamby stuff. That actually is backed up by what is going on in your body and how you can have some more control over that. So using breathing. And if you're a person of faith, this is the perfect time to send up what I call those arrow prayers, where you're going, oh, Lord, please help me. Lord, please give me your words in this situation. Lord, show me what to do. and then believing and just keep on breathing and believe, okay, it's going to come. All this can be happening vertically while you're dealing with the horizontal situation that's right there in front of you. Okay, you're trying to do that, first of all, is to try to stay in the moment, being perceptive, trying to get that stress under control within your own self so that you can deal with that stressful situation outside yourself that that person is generating. And then problem solve. If you can get into thinking, okay, how am I going to choose the lesser stressor in this situation? How do I get the lesser stressor response from this thing? And try to get yourself into that thinking of problem solving, navigating around, avoiding, speaking to the emotion, exiting the room, um, distracting your loved one and changing the subject in some way, or just coming out and saying you're sorry for something you didn't do. But just here again, you're speaking to that emotion. When you're doing that, you're not saying I did it, you're trying to de-escalate the situation. And then remove yourself as soon as you can and try to decompress from what just happened. um, I hope you can remember to stay in the moment. Remember that this journey is sometimes one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time, sometimes 1 minute at a time. But it is doable. It is a doable thing, and you are doing heroic, important work. You are loving this person at a time when they are very vulnerable and in need of having someone there who has a level of understanding and love and caring, and who you're equipping yourself now with these tools of how to manage situations so that they can de-escalate as much as possible. Now, that being said, if you are put in a situation where you're in danger, then you do need to call in outside help at that point. Remember, you are just as important as the person who has dementia. You're caring for them. And if you crash, if something happens to you, they're going to crash with you. So it's kind to take care of yourself. Remember to stay in the moment as best you can. That methodology is going to help you. And I had to be reminded of this over and over and over again by our very kind and wise counselor that we saw throughout the journey. As long as John could, he did. And I continued to see the counselor even after John passed away. So just remember that what you're doing is important. Just remember that it is heroic. It does matter a lot. You're making a huge difference in the life of someone else. And the people who are watching you, your family members, your children, your grandchildren, they're watching, they're learning. That's important too. So take care of yourself and thank you for what you do every day as a dementia caregiver. Keep it up.